We're joined by international relations and foreign policy expert, Dr. David Monyae. He's also the director for the Center of Africa-China Studies at the University of Johannesburg's Confucius Institute. Thank you so much for joining us in the program, David. How relevant is the UN General Assembly to the continent?
The UN is a critical body for the continent. Where most of its issues are handled. It's an arena in which the African continent work with the international community to deal with a host of issues, from conflict to issues of health and developmental issues. And therefore, since its formation, the UN, particularly in the post-Uhuru in the 1960s, the African continent constitutes the largest number of member states, and therefore it gives the UN itself legitimacy. However, there are quite a number of problems in terms of lack of transformation of this body, where the African continent is not represented within the highest supreme body of United Nations Security Council.
David, we also saw that there were some hard-hitting statements at the Assembly, especially from the DRC president about Africa not seeking charity and it needing to be seen as an equal partner. However, this is not the first time that we're hearing tough talk like this, David. And on the ground, though, it seems that even leaders themselves are yet to prove themselves here on the continent when it comes to service delivery to their people. How can African leaders move from rhetoric to policy-led actions?
I think, firstly, we have to understand the DRC's President Tshisekedi's speech, first and foremost, as the current chair of the African Union. So I think his speech carries much more weight, that he's not just speaking for his country, he's speaking for the entire continent. In a context where the powerful countries, particularly United States, and allies tend to undermine the very same body that there's a lot of talk in terms of peace and security and development or health at a rhetorical level. When it comes to real delivery of vaccines, I think there's a lot of inequalities at a global level, and Africa is really fighting to ensure that it is taken seriously. The challenge, as usual, it's also at the domestic level, that some of the African leaders are unable to deliver due to a number of challenges. One has to do with lack of good governance or lack of support at the global level. But as we move, the continent, it's increasingly speaking with one voice. And therefore, I think the most powerful countries will have to listen to Africa in dealing with its own challenges.
David, thank you so much for all that. International relations and foreign policy expert, Dr. David Monyae.